Hello, my name is Jill Nitch, and this is my case study for EDL 856 about parental apathy, and I do believe it is my last case study of my master's. Okay, what do I know about the case? There's very little parent support in the school. There previously has been parental support with PTO or some other similar organization. There just currently isn't any. Mrs. Rose is a new assistant principal to the school, and she has voiced her concerns to the principal about the lack of parental involvement. The principal is aware of it, and he just almost seems like he kind of doesn't want to bother with it because he thinks it'll come back negatively if he does try to implement some sort of parent group. However, Mrs. Rose brought it up to him again and agreed that there is a problem, and so they scheduled a meeting. What do I need to know? Why aren't there any parent organizations? What happened to them? There were obviously some in the past, so what has happened? What's caused them to not be there? Why is the principal just so accepting of the parental apathy? And what modes of communication does the school use to communicate with parents and stakeholders? Obviously, they send out notes, but is there some other forms of communication that they use? What's the problem? There's very little parental involvement among the parents in the school. Um, if there is little parental involvement in the school, in my opinion, that could lead to minimal parental involvement at home with the students as far as homework or attending events. It's hard to communicate with your stakeholders and community if no one is willing to be involved in the school and help make the school better. If there's no effort to communicate with them, it could lead to negativity among the stakeholders. That's when you can have gossiping going around in the community and some misconceptions that can be going around. My proposed plan of action, I would go ahead and hold the meeting even though there are only eight parents who showed up. My hope would be, and maybe you could suggest that to those parents, is the next time there's a meeting, each of you bring one set of parents. Then, in the next meeting, maybe you'll have 16 sets of parents. Then you can kind of continue that. Ask those parents that come to the meeting how they think you can get parental involvement. They obviously decide to come to the meeting, so pick their brains a little bit. How can they do? What can you do as a school to improve that? Next, I would send out a survey to those parents on how to increase parental involvement. And then depending on what modes of communication are used to communicate for this meeting was a note handed out to the kids, which as teachers we know doesn't always get home to the parents. Maybe a monthly newsletter, monthly email newsletter, also paper if you wanted to, newsletter that could go out, post things on Facebook, post things on Twitter. Maybe set up a booth at some ball games. Attend any of those community groups that you can, Rotary, Lions Club, excuse me, some of those church organizations, to be that face out there and talk to those people and try to encourage them to attend some meetings. Is there some sort of school messenger that can be sent out the night before meetings? If there is, that needs to be done. And make sure that the principal and Mrs. Rose are on the same page about why they want parental involvement. Getting the parents involved in school improvement will lead to less pushback from the community. Like I talked about, there will be less misconceptions that are floating around in the community. If the school is going to grow, they're going to make some changes to benefit students. They need to have stakeholder and parental support and participation. Mrs. Rose knows, based off her school community relations class, that community and parent involvement is important because it just benefits the students whenever everybody is all on the same page. The scheduled meeting will continue with more added in the future, and she will work with her principal about setting up other ways to communicate with parents. Debrief. I couldn't believe that there wasn't any sort of parent organization. There's no PTO, no site council, parents store and concession stands. It's important to get parent support or there will be backlash. I can't believe from the principal there hasn't been a push to get parental support. Needs to be other ways of communicating with parents. Could there be incentives given to the parents to fill out a questionnaire? They could get their textbook fees or technology fees reduced, if not paid for, if they decided to participate in something. And then, how does the superintendent feel about the lack of parental support? I know at the school district I am leaving, and the school district I'm getting ready to go to, the superintendent would not be happy if there was not parental support, because you need that for your school to function. How did I, as a building level administrator, collaborate with families and community members to contribute to the school's success? I gathered input from the parents on how to increase parental involvement. That was asking those parents that attended the meeting and sending out a questionnaire to the parents that did not. I scheduled follow-up meetings for the parents and increased the modes of communicating with the parents, adding a messenger, a voicemail message to send out to the parents, putting it on Facebook, Twitter, setting up ball games were different ways that I increased it. How did I, as the building level administrator, respond to diverse needs and interests of the community? Again, improved communication routes to the parents. Involved parents attending the meeting in ways to improve communication, and looked at adding possible incentive for attending meetings. The more you can get those parents on board and involved, the better off it's going to be, especially with some of the changes that have gone on in some schools in Kansas, some redesign processes that they've gone through. Some schools did not do a very good job of promoting that among their stakeholders, and they have really had a backlash among the parents. And some of them did a fairly good job of promoting their redesign, and parents just chose not to come. How did you, as the building level administrator, mobilize community resources to address and solve problems? Again, I increased the communication between the school and community by several different means, asking parents attending the meeting to bring a set of parents to the next meeting, increased community support by setting up a ball game showcasing the school. Also increased it by going to those different organizations and speaking to them about the school and what needs the school has that can be fulfilled by people from outside the community. Thank you very much.